This is what hell looks like for internet trolls after they die. They're locked inside a giant keyboard, getting bashed like computer keys. They kept arguing with Yama, the king of hell, trying to get out of their punishment. Seeing they had no regrets, a big screen started playing footage right away, footage of a girl who'd been harassed by the trolls. They made up and spread rumors about her until she had a mental breakdown and took her own life. Even watching the girl's pain on screen, some of the trolls still talked back, trying to defend themselves. To make them feel the girl's suffering, Yama turned them into keyboard keys. During a doctor's visit, the man froze in terror. The doctor across from him had no feet. Scared out of his wits, he grabbed his hot water and splashed it at the doctor. But instead of getting mad, the doctor apologized, saying his pants were just too long. Before the man's heart could settle down, he turned and saw something even scarier. The doctor didn't show up in the mirror. Add that to his sickly pale face, and the man splashed hot water at him again. Before the doctor could explain, his secretary walked in, hearing the commotion. She stared blankly at the doctor in the room and asked, "Who were you talking to just now?" The man took one bite of grilled corn and accidentally stumbled on a billion-dollar business idea. Watching his son shake his head from the spiciness of the corn, a light bulb went off in the man's head. He could make French fries with hot sauce. Not only would it tickle people's taste buds, but it'd also make them crave more and more. The crazy idea took over his mind. He told his wife about it, expecting her to say no, but she was totally on board. The man immediately bought all kinds of chili peppers to test, but even after trying every type, he still couldn't get the flavor he wanted. The woman always carried a wok on her back when she went out, even when facing a snooty TV interviewer. She didn't feel embarrassed at all. Instead, she pulled the wok out of her bag and started cooking right there on set. Since the show was live, the host was furious about Mary's unpredictable move. But the second he tasted her delicious food, his attitude did a 180. He even suggested Mary write a cookbook. Inspired by his words, Mary went home and wrote a letter to the producer, only to be met with laughter when the producer found out. A woman just dumped her husband of 30 years, and in the blink of an eye, she brought home a young hunk. While she was happily daydreaming about her future, her discarded husband was bought by a neighbor. When the neighbor paraded Jack over to show off, the woman was so embarrassed she couldn't duck out, forced to return the neighbor's overly enthusiastic greetings. Later, she tried to send over Jack's old stuff, but the neighbor turned her down, saying she'd already bought Jack all new things. Seeing Jack doing better without her left the woman seething with jealousy. But before she could do anything about it, Jack got returned to the supermarket again. A dying old man reached his hand toward a tree. In the blink of an eye, the once lush tree withered completely. The old man stared at his hands in shock. To test his hunch, he immediately took his crew to a lab. Before the doctor in front of him could react, the old man grabbed him and turned him into a mummy. Everyone stared at the terrifying scene, too scared to move, afraid they'd be next. To keep finding prey non-stop, the now younger old man started a foundation, one that tricked people with serious illnesses into coming for treatment. The clerk screamed in horror the second she saw the woman shoving a necklace into her mouth. She'd never seen a shoplifter pull a stunt like that. With the woman looking so smug, the clerk reached for the phone to call the cops, only to be stopped by a man who said he'd cover all the store's losses if the woman could actually swallow it all. The woman's eyes lit up. Staring at the rings laid out on the counter, she started shoveling them into her mouth like crazy. The clerk stood there, dumbfounded by the absurdity. Just as she was about to swallow the last necklace, it got stuck in her throat, and she collapsed right then and there. While her husband wasn't looking, a woman slipped her phone into Jack's popcorn bucket. Jack gave her a confused look, and right then, her husband noticed too. Mary quickly lied, saying she'd been looking for her phone. Her husband immediately called it, and the next second, the ringtone blared from Jack's direction. Security heard the sound and came to kick someone out. Jack saw the help signal on the phone, so he went along with the guards. Then he hit the fire alarm to create chaos, slipping Mary out safely. Just when Mary thought she was free, she had no idea she'd walked right into an even bigger trap. A janitor was just cleaning the police station when she accidentally helped solve the case. Staring at the missing person file on the floor, Mary's mind raced. She quickly figured out who the real culprit was. She thought she was just doing the police a small favor, but when Jack, the officer in charge of the case, showed up for work, he blew a fuse at the edited notes and had Mary, who'd cleaned the night before, brought back. Mary thought Jack was going to thank her. Turns out, he was there to chew her out. Helpless, Mary had to explain her reasoning in person. When she proved her analysis was spot on, the proud Jack couldn't crack a smile anymore. The woman lowered her husband into a well, but when she pulled him back up, he'd turned into gold. They were thrilled and about to split the loot when they found a note in the basket. It said they could trade anything for gold. Staring at the bottomless hole under their feet, greed took over. They turned their eyes to the man standing nearby, and sure enough, another basket of gold was pulled up. But the two weren't satisfied, they wanted more wealth. So they found the local sheriff, trying to bribe him into helping them find more people to throw in. The sheriff looked at how generously they were handing out money, and a bad idea popped into his head.
Take them off.
These demands were beyond ridiculous. The woman told the interviewees to drop their pants right there in front of her, then stared them up and down with a critical eye. Most caved, but Jack froze. Tempted by the promise of a high-paying job, though, he reluctantly gave in. Amused by his hesitation, the woman actually hired him. This only confused Jack more, so he asked a veteran co-worker, who told him it was standard procedure. Jack was floored. When he got home and looked at his pregnant wife, he quit on the spot. A woman frantically asked the flight attendant for more milk, hoping to reveal the help message she jotted down under the cup. Mary watched the attendant anxiously, but she walked away without a glance. Just then, her husband jolted awake. Mary quickly covered her cup, stammering apologies to her furious spouse. Another flight attendant walked by, and Mary held up her cup again, saying she wanted more ice. Luckily, this attendant caught on. A few minutes later, she approached the man, saying Mary's seat was broken, and got her away safely.